If you need immediate help, please call the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline at 1-800-662-HELP.
Bottle of wine, fruit of the vine. When you gonna let me get sober? Let me go home and start over.
Welcome to Clean and Sober Radio. Brought to you in part by Jefferson University Hospitals and Thomas Jefferson University, providing excellent clinical and compassionate care in the Philadelphia region. A proven leader in healthcare and education since 1825. And now, here are your hosts, Gary Hendler and Mark Sigmund.
Hey, hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us, and welcome to Clean and Sober Radio. Clean and Sober Radio features real people with real stories about addiction to drugs and alcohol. Mark Sigmund, what is new this week in recovery news?
Have you ever seen those conch tours in Key West where they drive these, big, huge trolleys and they take people for tours? Well, over 4th of July weekend, police say a 57-year-old Jonathan Winslow stole one of these tour buses. Winslow asked for a tour, saying he worked for the company, ended up driving this conch tour down Key West, right? And he started picking up passengers. And finally, police finally intervened. And unfortunately, they found a pair of swim shorts in his bag and also a meth pipe. So this guy went on a little drive, stole one of those big trolleys, drove around Key West having the time.
What's the
He was high on meth, unfortunately.
On meth.
Yes.
Okay.
And
right.
and imagine that, waking up the next day and being like, I can't believe I stole one of these big, huge trolleys and drove around. But anyway, that just kind of piqued my interest, Gary.
Did you ever do that?
I never did.
Come on,
never
man,
stole a car. No.
You never stole a car?
No. You?
My mother's car.
He had to really think, didn't he? I mean, he had to really think to answer that question.
I have my own car.
Yeah, that's right. You had a freaking Corvette.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Look, it just goes to show you we did things when we were stoned that we probably would not have normally done.
And he probably thought he was having the time of his life until he got busted driving this trolley.
Yeah.
So.
That's a weird story.
It is a weird story, but it's getting us back warmed up.
Listen, yesterday I spent the day at Montgomery County Correctional Prison, and the health care providers there were talking about the drug that is now on the street is not xylazine. It's the next one, which we can't pronounce, something din. Topramidine? I can't pronounce it. Something like that.
Yes.
That's the big thing now, in Philadelphia at least.
It's just getting worse and worse. Every time you think that, maybe the less potency, something new comes out. Unbelievable, Gary.
Yeah. Listen, Mark, now you know this as well as I do. We have had Pennsylvania magisterial district judges on the show. We've had Pennsylvania Common Pleas Court judges on this show.
Yes.
We have had Pennsylvania district attorneys from different counties on this show. But we have never had a Pennsylvania Supreme Court justice on the show. And now we have one. And we want to welcome Justice Kevin Dougherty to Clean and Sober Radio. Welcome,
Hey,
Judge.
Kevin.
Hey, how are you? Thank you very much for the privilege.
Listen, we wanted to introduce you. We're going to hit our first break, and when we come back, we're going to learn all about your incredible career. And this is an opportunity for our audience to actually speak with a sitting Supreme Court justice. We'll be right back.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hi, this is Randy the Blaze Lurch. I listen to Clean and Sober Radio.
888-728-9941. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
Hey, welcome back. And you can always enjoy the show on WWDB in Philadelphia, WPEN 97.5 in Philadelphia, WGAC on Augusta, Georgia, and WJBR in Tampa, Florida.
All over the world now.
All over the world.
No heaven above us, only sky.
Hey, we're back. Welcome back to Clean and Sober Radio. And our guest is Justice Kevin Dougherty, sits on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Wow. I got to tell you something. We've done a lot of shows. We've done almost 600 of them now. And if I hadn't met you the last couple times at events, I would have been completely freaking out that I have a Supreme Court justice on the show. But I got to tell you, Kevin, I knew right away when I met you, you were the real deal, a regular guy from South Philly, Pennsylvania.
A lawyer that was lucky.
And I guess luck plays into it, but you did all the right things, and we're going to go through all the right things. We have a new phone number for our audience to call in, and the number is 610-632-8601. That's 610-632-8601. And feel free to call in and talk to the justice or Mark or myself. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege.
Okay, that's
It's an honor for us.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is.
Yeah, we've a lot of times when we do the show, if somebody comes in who's like off the charts, like world famous athlete or anyway. I always say to Mark, can we do this?
We get nervous. We start shaking.
We used to get really nervous.
We did.
And
yeah.
sit in here like a half an hour before the show. Now we just stroll in.
Yep.
Now I have to be the one getting nervous as I speak on the radio.
No.
Just like we're sitting around a table somewhere.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, Kevin, tell you grew up in South Philly. What was that environment like for you?
I'm blessed. Where I grew up, they call it Second Street. And when I grew up, it was a very close-knit ethnic neighborhood. It's interesting that immigration is a huge issue now.
Yeah.
But I can remember being a little kid and hearing the stories that my grandparents and great-grandparents, literally at the beginning of the century, came over from Ireland off the boat at Delaware Avenue and Market Street. And they didn't go through Ellis Island. They came directly here. And when they got here, after they were registered, they were sent down to what was called Southwark or the Moymensing area. And it was the ghetto. It was the area where the Irish Catholics were sent because they weren't generally accepted in the Anglo Center City area. And historically, that's where all new immigrants were being forwarded. And today, it's not a ghetto. It is a thriving community of individuals. So when I was growing up in this neighborhood, I could hear as many different Irish brogues as I could, South Philly accents. But that being said, what I never realized is that I lived amongst people who are now considered the working poor. Our fathers, our people, we weren't like lawyers or doctors. I didn't know anything about that. They were laborers and they were city officials in the police department or firefighters. That was the good job. But I also witnessed that how life would sometimes be working for, Monday through Friday, all day, all night, and Saturday through Sunday sitting in the bar. And I also saw the manifestations of some of those changes or issues that arise from that issue. And but we never prejudged it, or we never thought anything about it. It was part of our life. And growing up, I can remember being with, candidly, I can remember having one of my friends help me take my uncle out of a bar on 2nd Street in the winter and carrying him home on a flattened cardboard box because we couldn't carry him. And it wasn't until later that I realized it's something that we did and no one judged us about because it was part of life. Alcoholism and drug addiction somehow, unfortunately, was part of the upbringing we had.
Did you have it in your own family?
It was my uncle.
Your uncle?
But we were fortunate, not with my parents or anything of that.
Right.
I grew up great mom and dad. I have an older brother and a younger sister. And, they worked, through union and labor unions, and my dad had a city job. We were lucky. The three of us were educated in Catholic schools. I'm the first in my family to go to college. Wow. And because it was just unheard of. I remember my friends just joking with me saying, "Why are you wasting your time?" And they were starting to work, get some money, buy a car. And I was still asking to borrow my dad's car because there was three of us, but we only had one car, and you had to share it.
Kevin, why did you feel like you had to go for higher education? With that environment around you that wasn't pushing you or wasn't setting an example of that?
Good question. I can tell you the answer to that. I can remember specific times when I witnessed my friends' parents get injured down longshore along the water dock, or they were trying to do something, were in a car accident, and we didn't have lawyers. And you didn't know how to get a lawyer. And I watched people lose their houses. I watched my friends have to get public assistance. And I can remember walking with a friend back in the day when they were able to get a block of cheese. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is not right. And I remember specifically that my mom had a store, an ice cream parlor, and someone sued her. And we didn't have a lawyer. And I can remember at one point, they threatened to really push a lien against the house, and we could have lost the house. But ultimately, I thought, I cannot allow this to happen. And
wow,
what I ended up doing, I went to Bishop Newman High School.
Okay.
And one of my history teachers, I'll never forget, he took a check out of his pocket and he showed us to us all, and it was $90,000. Now, at 15, 16 years old, $90,000 is like $1 million.
Sure.
Minimum wage then was $3 an hour. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. And he told me he didn't do anything other than refer a case. And the only way you can get money for referring cases is being a lawyer. So that became the single drive. But coupled by the fact that I thought, hey, I could do the right thing and make money out of this. This is a great idea. So I tried. But since I didn't know anything about law school, someone had mentioned to me that I should try to get a job in a law firm. So I literally took the number 5 bus up 2nd Street one day. I was about 17. And I went to different law firms and knocked on their door and went into every law firm asking them, did they need a messenger? And I was fortunate to work at this little law firm. And for the lawyers, it was a petite boutique law firm, and 4 of the 6 attorneys went for the same law school. So they shared with me that I should apply. I applied. I got accepted. And the reality was to reserve a seat, you had to spend $500. I didn't have $500. My parents tried to assist me, so I had to get a second job. Once I paid that $500, it was non-redeemable if I didn't go. So they changed my direction.
Well, any of these attorneys that gave you your first job, are they around to see who you have become?
No.
That would be, and your parents, obviously.
Yeah, my mom and dad were alive to see me become a lawyer.
They see you on Common Pleas?
They both they helped me put my robe on in Common Pleas. And I was blessed to have my dad in 2015 when I ran and won the Supreme Court seat. Oh, wow.
So he knew, okay.
And then, and I'm up for retention at the end of this year. So maybe in 2016, if I'm fortunate, as I hope, they'll be there in spirit.
They certainly will be. Well, that is
incredible. And I'm just picturing you, earning the $500 to get a seat in law school, right? Mm-hmm. And after that, how did you support? Was that all it cost, or did you have to keep working?
Well, you had to work. And you have to remember, now, this is the first time as I'm going to law schools that I ever left Philadelphia. When I went to Temple University undergrad, it's because it was close, mm-hmm. and I could take the 79 bus up and the subway down and work 3 jobs in Center City to help pay my tuition. This is the first time I left Philadelphia, so it's kind of frightening, and I had to go to Washington, D.C., but I was lucky because I had a cousin down there, so I was able to stay in her home till I got my feet settled. And then they had a thing called work study in law school, which meant you had to work and go to school. So I had to do that to maintain. But, that's part of life. And it's through that I had that ethic thing that I just wanted to make sure I could achieve.
You were so motivated at a young age when you could have, I don't know what your friends were doing, but they probably weren't.
Making money.
They were making money, but
Not a lot.
Penny wise, dollar foolish, probably. I'm going to just read your professional experience.
Okay.
You were assistant district attorney of Philadelphia County from 1990 to 1995. You went back to private law practice with Marino and Dougherty from 95 to 2001. In 1998, you were with Philadelphia Truancy Court program, and you were a special master. You were appointed as judge of the Court of Common Pleas, Philadelphia County in 2001. You were elected as judge of the Court of Common Pleas County again in 2002 to 2012. You were retained as judge of the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia County from 2012 to 2015. You were appointed supervising judge, Family Division, Philadelphia County from 2003 to 2005. Appointed administrative judge, Family Division. I know you have a special interest in that, from 2005 to 2014. You were appointed administrative judge, Trial Division, 14 to 15, and then you were elected Justice of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania in 2015. And you were appointed by, was that Wolf who appointed you?
No, it was Governor Ridge.
Ridge. That to me, Mark, because of how I grew up, that dedication to a process, to actually go through it and move is, I'm in awe of it. I really am.
Listen, America's a great country.
I know.
Somebody like me can come out of Little South Philly and end up on the Supreme Court.
Just
It truly
saying,
is. I'm telling you, it's the land of opportunity.
Amazing. So what kind of jobs did you have before the legal profession? What kind of stuff did you do?
Well, I worked in local corner delis. Through high school, I first started at 13 years old as a paper boy for the now defunct Bulletin.
Okay.
And then I start working in corner neighborhood delis, and then start getting any job I could get through high school. And then through college, I used to work as a fundraiser for Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And then I used to work as a youth counselor for the Jewish Federation out at Broad and Pine. And I became the Shabbos goy, as they used to say.
I'm the only one in this room who knows what you're saying. That's a little derogatory, but go ahead. It was fun. Okay.
It's all good.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I start working with every job I could to make some money and get where I needed to be.
But everything you did was giving back. You gave back all the time.
Well, we had good foundation in the family, and I got to tell you, I don't want to sound too crazy religious, but growing up as an Irish Catholic, we heard the stories of deprivation and starvation, and I witnessed not necessarily deprivation and starvation, but I saw what I didn't realize was poverty, or the elements of it embed in our world, and I refused to allow that if I had an opportunity to change. So I think that's what kind of inspired me. And then when I started working for cystic fibrosis, I realized that an individual can make a change in another's life. Yeah. And I think that was the influence that catapulted me to do what I'm doing.
Wow. If you're just joining us now, first of all, if you're just listening to us in any kind of medium you have, you can also watch us right now on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page, Clean and Sober Radio. And if you'd like to call in and talk to a Supreme Court Justice, Kevin Dougherty, please call us at 610-632-8601. You don't get a chance like that to talk to a great guy like this. That's for sure. We had, let me see something. All right, so
I got a quick question for you. What was it like? Because I see you were also a trial judge. What was it like being a trial judge, seeing people come in that might have drug and alcohol issues and crimes and all that? Yes.
I was a lucky man. I was lucky. In 2001, there had been 11 vacancies for the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas, which is the trial bench. And I was one of 33 lawyers that were seeking that job. And in Philadelphia, we have to go to Harrisburg and pick our ballot. And historically, whoever picks the first 5 are usually successful. I picked 24 out of 34. And my comment was, I may be hard to find, but I was worth the look. And fortunately, it paid off. And when I came in as a winner, I was then appointed by the governor, and I was told by the Supreme Court then that they wanted to send me to the criminal division of Philadelphia. And I specifically asked to go to the family court. And back in the early 2000s, family court was kind of the place that judges went when they were going into pasture or maybe did something that somebody didn't like. And they used to say the lawyers that wanted to practice there were lawyers who couldn't practice law. And I kind of always found that offensive. Because in criminal court, I was a prosecutor as a defense attorney. As a judge, I'm either going to give you jail or I'm going to put you in probation. In civil court, I'm either going to make you money or I'm going to take your money. But in family court, I felt that I have an opportunity to affect and effectuate change generationally.
Wow.
And it transcends race, gender, nationality, creed. Everybody comes from some sort of family, and there's always some issues. And I specifically went to the juvenile arena because I thought the best place to approach these issues would be at the youngest age so that I could keep them from penetrating the adult system and getting them the services and treatment that they needed early, as well as their parents, because not only did I have the mom and dad, like say in a criminal court, I had the singular defendant, I was able to control the family. And I used to say to the mom, with my signature, you and I now are going to parent our children. And I used to say, I don't take this stuff off my own children, so you know I'm not taking it off yours. And I would set the boundaries, and you would see natural progress. And at some point, what would break my heart is some of the kids would come to me when I wanted to discharge them from, they would beg me in the back not to leave them because I was the only constant. And that would break my heart, but it also inspired me to keep doing what I was doing.
That's a great question, Mark. Yeah, that's really the emphasis of how you start. I know the family matters are a big issue for you. And
Family's everything.
Family's everything. Yeah. And you, as a judge, has the special power of making a difference in a family and a kid who's having trouble.
True.
You know.
True.
Now, Kevin, growing up, you hung around. I don't know if it was a bad crowd. I don't know what kind of crowd you hung around.
I was a good kid.
Were you really?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, we all got in trouble. I did those things, underage drinking.
You didn't do the things that we did. But
I was fast.
You didn't get
He
caught.
got away.
You didn't get caught.
Yeah.
So, did you have any negative influences in your life growing up? Bad influences from peers, and
Sure. But
how did you resist that?
a healthy fear of my father.
Okay.
My
Okay.
dad worked in juvenile court as well. He was a court officer.
Uh-huh.
And he was a court officer, and he used to think that marijuana is the gateway of drugs. And, I can remember, I can remember being 16, 17 years old, coming home after I'd been drinking, and my friends left me in the doorway between the screen door and the front door. And my mother opened the door, and she just took me by my collar and punched me in my face.
Oh, wow.
So, so it was tough love back then. But, I think I said the F word, and that was unacceptable.
Not acceptable. Listen, we have a gang of people that are watching us right now. Let me just go through some of them. Kathy Wolf Collin is watching from Coral Springs, Florida. Kevin Heyer is watching. Judge Christopher Maddox. Do you know Judge Maddox? He's a magisterial district justice in Delaware County.
Okay.
Fantastic guy. John Logue. Jim Bilderback. Hello from Ventnor, New Jersey. Wonder where that's coming.
Must be bad weather.
Must be bad weather, guys. Hey, this is live radio. This is what happens. Lou Montana. Mark, do you have anybody there?
Yes. Actually, you called them all, Gary.
Okay.
My wife, my beautiful wife, Andrea Diaz, is
There you
watching.
go. There you
Hi,
go.
Andrea.
Popped on.
There you
Yeah,
go.
thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we'll be with Supreme Court Justice Kevin Dougherty.
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to outscience cancer.
Hi, this is Dion, the Wanderer. Listen to Clean and Sober Radio. You might hear something that'll change your life. Yo!
888-728-9941. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
Hey, we're back.
We're
certainly
back.
That's a great interview.
Yes.
Supreme Court Justice Kevin Dougherty.
I'm interested in what the process is as a Supreme Court justice. Does stuff hit the lower courts and then it comes all the way up to you, right?
Correct.
And then, does it go from there to the Supreme Court sometimes, or does it?
Well, the process is that it has to percolate. It has to go to our trial judges, and then it will go up. If it's a government agency, it goes over to what's called the Intermediate Appellate Court, Commonwealth Court. And then if it's every other type of case, like criminal case or custody case, it will go to Superior Court. And then if a party doesn't like their decision there, then they file what's called an aliquotter, which is a petition to the Supremes to see if we think their case is interesting enough or there's an issue of first impression that's going to affect 13 million Pennsylvanians, that we take that case. So I'd have to say out of maybe I'd say we probably only accept about 10%, 20% of most cases that are submitted to us.
Is that a higher percentage or a lower percentage from the Supreme Court of the United States?
Higher, I believe.
It's a higher percentage.
And the only time the United States Supreme Court could hear our cases, if we make a decision that's founded on the United States Constitution. We usually make our decisions based upon our own Constitution, the Pennsylvania Constitution, which, by the way, is older than the United States Constitution.
It's older.
And we have more rights in Pennsylvania than the United States Constitution.
Wow.
Yeah. People don't realize that we have an environmental right. You have a right to reputation, which the U.S. doesn't have. We have a lot of it. It's interesting.
Without getting political, we have to be careful. It seems to me, Mark, if we've had this conversation, that the courts are being not taken seriously by this administration on every single level. And to me, that is the scariest in this country, because the courts have always been respected, and that's the law of the land.
It's very interesting. In Pennsylvania, as I said, our Constitution is the oldest Constitution. And we have the oldest appellate court in the country, although Massachusetts will challenge us. Most people don't realize that the history from Pennsylvania Constitution is we started in 1864, called the Provincial Appellate Court. Charles II was the King of England, and he appointed the justices. And joking aside, as I tell everybody, as an Irish Catholic, I don't think he would have appointed me back then. He'd rather see me hanging. But that being said, there had not been 3 judges or justices elected in 300 and some years. And in 2015, 3 of us were elected. And our Pennsylvania Constitution specifically permits a partisan election of judges, so that the people get to choose. So you have to pick up a political banner, whether you're Democrat or Republican, and you have your county name. So coming from Philadelphia, I was a Democrat coming from Philadelphia County. And my 2 colleagues that on the Democratic side were both from Allegheny County, Pittsburgh. We were fortunate, we won. Now, 10 years later, the Constitution permits our terms to be a 10-year term, and then we're subject to what's called a retention vote, which separately in our Pennsylvania Constitution, there's a section that says this has to be separated. This is no longer a partisan. This is about accountability. The judiciary is independent of our 2 sister branches of government. We're not accountable to the governor, or we're not accountable to the General Assembly. Who we are accountable under our Constitution is to the people of Pennsylvania. And out of retention, they get to judge the judges. And if you think we've done a decent job and we've upheld our Constitution and kept the integrity of the court, should be retained. Unfortunately, because of the climate that is currently here, our retention is becoming partisan, or they're trying to make it partisan. And we have to control or try to block that. When I run for retention November 4th, there will be no party. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing. It's, do you think that I did a good job? But people don't realize, one, that there is a retention in November 4th, and most people don't know judges until it's too late. I used to tell everybody, people know more of the Kardashian sisters' names, and they don't know who they're electing as judges. But yet when you elect a judge, you're putting a pen in that person's hand, and that person can take your home, can take your child, can take your money, and God forbid,
take your life.
Her signature could take your life. And you have to, if it works that way, you have to go to the appellate courts, the intermediate. At the top of the food chain will be us. And I kind of believe that you need people who understand, who come from the people, to be on that top so that you can understand who got caught up in a bad way from somebody needs to be put away, and you can't apologize for either. And that brings us into the whole movement of behavioral health and dealing with substance abuse issues, because we're seeing far too many individuals being drugged into our criminal justice system as a result of a lack of understanding.
Absolutely. We have a caller on the line right now. Tim, welcome to Clean and Sober Radio.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing, Tim?
I just want to say it's an honor to get a chance to talk to Justice Dougherty.
Yeah.
I've known him since I think he was running family court, and then I followed his career with the Supreme Court. Justice Dougherty, in my neighborhood, his son is the state rep, where he's done a phenomenal job raising a good son who's made a difference in our neighborhood. The reason I'm calling in is because Justice Dougherty, as I've been following you, I think you started the autism initiative in the Philadelphia courts, and maybe you're working with behavioral health and mental health now in the courts.
I am.
I was just calling to see how you got started with that and how everything came about in that, because it really is a major difference that
hey,
being made.
Thanks for the phone call. I appreciate that, and thanks for listening. Again,
that's nice.
It's from personal experiences. When I was a trial judge in Philadelphia, dealing with juveniles, you have to understand, in Pennsylvania, if you're a juvenile and you're convicted of a crime and a judge delinquent and you're over 14 and it's a felony, you're convicted felon the rest of your life. And because our prisons are so overcrowded, we give out numbers what called prior record scores. And the most points you could get would be 6. And if you get 6 at 18, you're looking to go to State Road, where our prisons are, as opposed to State College, or where I would like you to be, or at least in the trades. Yeah. That being said, I had a kid that's standing in front of me. I had just convicted him of stealing a car, and he's over 14. And it came from the welfare system, child welfare system, and I'm talking to him, and he wouldn't look at me. He turned his back. He's fidgeting. At one point, I'm saying, "Son, look at me. Can you look me in my eyes?" And when he didn't do it, the mom, the foster mom, called me sidebar and said, "Judge, my son's not ignorant or rude. My son's Asperger's." I had no idea what that was. Yeah. Again, coming from my little community, they might have been hyperactive. They may have been special. They may have been. We didn't have a name for that. I wasn't aware of that. So I was humiliated. I thought, you know what? I'm only going to be ignorant once. And I did some self-reform, and my self-reform led to judicial reform. And as you read in my bio, I was the administrative judge, which means I was the head of the Philadelphia Family Court for a long time. And I had 25 judges and 800 employees, 2 courthouses. I had an opportunity to educate all them as to what it was or and we were able to do that. And it worked in Philadelphia, and I worked hand in glove with then Speaker of the House, Danny O'Brien, who's a strong advocate for autism. And then ultimately, when I became a justice, I went to our Chief Justice and said, "Can I take this show across the Commonwealth? Because if we're doing it for children in Philly, shouldn't I be doing it for children in Erie and Cambria and those areas?" So with that, we've been doing that, and that has now bled over into our behavioral health, because our courts the courts across Pennsulvania, are overcrowded with behavioral health issues and mental health issues.
So a lot of your work as a judicial system was educating people on
Yes.
issues.
Yes.
And I was just thinking as you were saying that, we need to, you mentioned people don't know who the judges are. We need to, and we're a good platform, at least right today, to educate people on somebody like yourself, Judge, who is in retention that needs to be reappointed. And
Thank you.
it has to be. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And Mark and I know that we want to let people know you should be. You did a great job. There's no,
thank you.
there's nothing. You're the real deal. That's what I'm getting. If I can say that to a Supreme Court justice,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, we are real. I'm a dad. I'm
I
a
know.
husband.
Same
Yeah.
without
But it
Kevin
is- it's-
Dougherty.
What?
I don't think Pennsylvania would be the same if Kevin Dougherty was not on the Supreme Court. I think it is a major thing that we need to keep Kevin Dougherty on as our Supreme Court.
Oh, what? I feel like I have a, what do they call that?
You're a cheerleading section.
Yeah.
Here. Hey, Tim, you want to give your last name or no?
Timerson.
Tim Timerson.
No.
No, or Timerson is the last name.
Oh, he doesn't want to give it. That's okay.
Okay.
That's very nice words.
I have a fan.
you did. You're a fan.
That's very, very nice words. I just had some of those things.
I had a quick one.
Go ahead.
And I don't know if we're, are there any real, with everything going on right now, are there any real hot button cases coming up or in the Supreme Court? Or is this something that we kind of shy away from even?
Or can you not discuss?
Well, the types of cases that are coming up, we find to be cases of first impression of substantial importance. The types of cases will affect voting rights, people's right to choose, more so the free and fair elections. Those are the types of cases that will percolate up again.
Okay.
But we also look at the cases that deal with the issues that affect the everyday Pennsylvanian, dealing with workers' compensation and dealing with catastrophic injuries and making sure that the system is available to those who don't normally know how to access it.
Kevin, are you seeing year after year that the epidemic of drug addiction in this country is getting worse by the cases that you're seeing and by the damage that addiction does to our community?
Absolutely, because the drugs now are synthetic.
Yeah.
And there's no way for our police to stop it because they constantly change it. Back in the day, there was that special case nonsense. And the moment we were able to track it, they changed the substances. And people don't realize, I'm not going to be an advocate, but at least marijuana is grown in the ground.
Right. Correct.
These are chemicals they're making. And look how many people are dying because of the introduction of fentanyl. And I lived through, as a judge, the crack addiction where it took out a complete generation of parents, and we had to lean on the grandparents. We're looking at a generation where there's no one because the fentanyl's taking them all. And coming from the city, the best view of that is just take a walk up Kensington Avenue.
Yeah, which we
and you don't
talk
always
about.
have to do that. You can walk through Center City and you see people nodding in front of my building with the needle in their arm.
Kevin, do you know there's virtually no heroin anymore? It's fentanyl and it's xyloline, and it's another one now. As you just said, it just keeps getting worse and worse and more dangerous and more potent.
And let me share something with you that is kind of in line with Clean and Sober.
Yeah.
What frustrates me, that we're finding out now, is that because people are being arrested for substance abuse and drug addiction, we're blaming it on the possession with the intent to deliver, the crime. And we're not looking at the substance abuse as an individual and the treatment or the holistic approach. And the problem is that we have treated this through silos. And what the court's now trying to do, we're trying to spearhead a coordinated collaboration between the system partners so that we can now, discuss best practices, discuss and develop and learn what our challenges are, but maintain that coordinated campaign so that we now can approach this from a different perspective as from treatment and support as opposed to penetration the criminal system or incarcerating.
Right. I mean, as they say, we can't incarcerate out of this.
No.
No
and
way.
we're finding out that the majority of people, and some are, part of the concern I have is the people that now are being incarcerated have mental illnesses as well. And as we know, many times when you scratch the back of someone who's a substance abuser, there was trauma in his or her life and or an issue that has not been resolved. And we're not addressing that issue. And it's easy. You know, you've been blessed. You had the fortitude to be able to do this, but you also have a support system, or at least developed one. I'm dealing with the families that have no support system other than government. And government's not a good parent. We're terrible at it, but that's what we're left with. So we got to make the best of what we have, and that's my hope and desire.
Your fellow Supreme Court justices, they're in mine, like mine?
Sure. You know, I guess
Great.
because I've had a lot of administrative responsibilities in the Philadelphia court system, and I've seen the change that can happen by judicial leadership, that I kind of have taken a wee bit of a lead. But we have a Justice, Kevin Brobson from Harrisburg, who's handling our specialty courts, because we also have to deal with the Veterans Court. You know, we're handing guns to 18-year-olds, and they're going over there to kill, and they come back with post-traumatic stress disorder, and we're not treating them because they get cut out of mental health treatment. And next thing you know, they're in a fight. They fought for us. Why should the court not fight for them? And you got to do things. The system's supposed to be fair, and sometimes it's stacked against the underdog. And
Right, you're 100%. I mean, I'm just talking about Mark. We're fortunate. You know, we didn't grow up in poverty or abuse or anything like that, but so many millions of people have, and it's and then what's going on now? If this goes through with just take, I don't want to get in Medicaid, that is going to cause crime to spike like they've never seen before.
And we have to be prepared. The courts are the final gatekeeper. We have to be prepared, and that's what I'm hoping that we can do by working and collaborating with the branches of government. And people are finally coming in line. For the first time, Pennsylvania, I was able to organize a behavioral health summit with the three branches of government last October. And Governor Shapiro's people and the General Assembly, everybody came together, and we had 500 government officials. So that came, and we realized that we have to break down the silo and that we have to have a new strategy. Yeah. And I tell them, at least give it to the court. We're the final arbiter, you know. You could arrest your way out of it, but it's the judge's signature that's going to put them away. But I need our judges to be better educated and in tune by treating people with an understanding and a compassion while you're still holding accountability. I don't want people to think that the victim's forgotten here.
Right. Right.
That's never going to happen.
Well, you have some responsibility. You know,
I'm a lucky man.
You're a lucky man, but if I was on the bench, I'd feel bad. I go, let him go. But Mark, you would too, right?
Absolutely, and I'm actually just real comfortable knowing you're in there making these decisions.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
And
my colleagues.
And we have to let we're going to go to a break, but listen, November 4th of this year, please. If it's just our community of some 500,000 people in recovery, we want this guy to stay on the bench and make the decisions that are best in a selfish way for our community. November 4th, Supreme Court Justice Kevin Dougherty. This isn't just today. We're going to be saying this until it happens. We got to take a break. When we come back, Kevin Dougherty, Supreme Court, is with us.
You think?
This is Clean and Sober Radio.
A cancer diagnosis can knock the wind out of you. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health can help. Our brand new Asplund Cancer Pavilion brings you 86,000 square feet of cancer-fighting science for truly comprehensive care. Backed by the strength of an NCI-designated cancer center. Call 1-800-JEFF now. The Sidney Kimmel Cancer Center at Abington Jefferson Health. The power to out-science cancer.
Hey everybody, this is former Philadelphia Flyer Chris Terrian, and you're listening to Clean and Sober Radio.
888-728-9941. This is Clean and Sober Radio.
And we're back, Clean and Sober Radio. And if you are listening or watching us and you think you have a problem or a loved one does, please call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Hotline at 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-HELP. And I can assure you somebody will answer that phone and be able to steer you to the right resource.
And we got another one. And this is the suicide hotline, 988. 988. If you're feeling like you're having thoughts of self-harm, call that number and you will get help. That's 988.
And these numbers should be on your refrigerator, just like poison control, because when you get in it jammed up, either with drugs or you're feeling like you want to kill yourself, it's hard to go start looking for phone numbers.
And I got to add, please keep Narcan in the house because sometimes this fentanyl is mixed in with other stuff. Even if you think that nobody's using in the house, get a thing of Narcan.
You know, I'll tell you something, at the prison yesterday, there was a medical person said Narcan does not have any effect on that, whatever that new drug.
Tometadine. Yeah.
Has no effect.
Oh, gosh, that's scary.
But
Really
if I could
scary.
jump in, I have to tell you, with the suicide, it's great that they're now paying more attention to this. As you can see, on my wrist, I wear a rubber band that says 22 a day. What that means is 22 veterans a day commit suicide as a result of untreated mental illness or from overdosing. And people don't realize that these are young adults who just can't have the faculties or the support systems in play. And if we're losing 22 soldiers a day, imagine the phenomenal impact. So it's a blessing to hear you guys at least make that issue as part of Clean and Sober.
And what are we doing? I mean, I hear the number. It's horrible. What are we doing as a society to help people? I have found that over the years, and I've been sober for 43 years, people really don't care unless it directly affects them or their family, which is sad. You know, I mean, I think it's better now, but really...
Because we have to get over the stigma of it. People are embarrassed. It's not an embarrassment. I have high blood pressure. If I don't take care of it, I'm going to stroke out. You know, we have to convince people that substance abuse and mental health issue, you know, sometimes they go hand in glove, sometimes they don't. But if we admit to these issues, and we're all human, we're fallible.
Can you imagine showing up at the hospital? You don't have insurance, and you say, I have high... And they go, get out of here.
Yeah, stop eating salt.
Yeah, stop eating salt.
But,
unbelievable.
Hey, we had a couple emails just now. Sid S. from Augusta, Georgia writes to us, love the show. I've been sober for 22 years, and your show has been very helpful. That's good to hear.
Nice to hear.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sid.
That's good. We like that.
We need an applause on that one. Yes.
Okay. Sherry O. from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Do you guys believe that religion can help someone get into recovery?
I do. I think that, spirituality is such a big part for a lot of people.
It's not religion, is it?
No, but I think sometimes, just getting together, with your religion can help. What do you think?
I'm a firm believer that it does. I firmly believe if you don't have a greater source than us, then it's a little hard. I growing up a Catholic, I lean on my religion a lot. I'm running to the Blessed Mother all the time, and I don't want to make that sound crazy, but it's a foundational part. Whatever works. Yeah. Some people could do meditation. That doesn't work for me. But yes, so I firmly believe that it's an individual choice, like everything else in life. It's a case-by-case basis. But if you have that fundamental beliefs, absolutely, it doesn't matter whether you're Christian or Muslim or Jewish. It's the foundational faith, and spiritualism is a play of that.
Yeah,
it's to believe in a higher being. Somebody has to be out there better to help me.
Who is it?
There? What do you
Mark
think?
thinks it's him. I agree. Okay. I agree. Let me see some of this. Paula L., Erie, Pennsylvania. Have you heard if Governor Shapiro will sign the bill to legalize recreational marijuana?
I have not heard.
You know, he was against it as the Attorney General. I think he's for it now. You know,
I can't comment because that's a case that could come before us.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. We don't want to get near that at all. Okay, let me ask you a couple questions. What's it like to put that robe on? I mean, it has to be. I'm not saying intoxicating, but oh my God, I can't even. The first time you put it on, did you look in the mirror? Did you? Oh my God, I'm really on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I'm Newman. You're like, wow, I cannot believe this actually happened.
Little Kevin from South Philadelphia.
2001. Greatest honor was to have my parents put that robe on me.
Oh, that's amazing.
God.
And then I had, in 2015, I had my father, who has passed since, and my children, as my wife held the Bible. So yeah, and I don't want to sound crazy, but it is an awesome responsibility. Once you put that robe on, you have to stop being who you are, and you have to be authentic to the law and to the facts. And there's sometimes I have to make decisions that I may not personally agree with, but that's not, my job's not to make up the law. It's to follow the law and apply the facts and try to do the best we can. So
Kevin,
yeah.
like a rock star, do you have to wonder who your friends really are? Or do you know? I mean,
I think, let me
people
tell you,
want stuff from you all the time.
You become much funnier once you become a judge, and you know people want to be more friendly to you. Yeah, you get a lot of people that never would speak to you if you didn't have that title.
The worst joke you could tell, they think it's great, right?
This is where I have to lean on my street smarts.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Okay, that's a good answer. That is a good answer. Wow, we're almost at the hour.
Yeah, and you know, I got to tell you, getting a uniform is cool. You know what I mean? I think we've all sat in front of it. But I got to ask you, sometimes as a judge, does it drive you crazy when you see stuff around you that might not agree with your principles as
absolutely.
a judge?
I can remember. Look, I don't have my hands in everything, but back in the day when I was in the Philadelphia juvenile court, we had what was called the flash riots. And as the head of the court, that's when we had juveniles just running through Center City, throwing adults and seniors into the streets, breaking through Wanamakers. As the head of the court, I was able to have the authority to bring those cases in front of me, and I handled all of them. And I worked hand in glove with our mayor as well as our police commissioner. And I got to tell you, Police Commissioner Ramsey and I believe it was Mayor Nutter, phenomenal partners. And we ended it. So when you see these things, there's times internally I think, damn, I wish I was still a trial judge. But but at the end, I'm still a Supreme. And if I could just throw out here, and this is self-serving, everybody.
Do it.
In November, if you choose to vote, please look at the bottom of the list. What had happened is I shared with everybody that it's not political. So they'll have the Democrat versus Republicans at the top of the ballot. We're down at the bottom of the ballot. And if you vote by mail, we're probably going to be on the back. I'm just going to respectfully ask everyone, if and when you do your mail-in ballots, read the whole ballot, look at the back, help us by voting yes for me and my colleagues, and sign and date it and mail it in. And if you go to the poll, I ask people to be challenged. In the primary, you all voted from top to bottom. I'm going to ask people for the challenge of bottoms up. Will you vote from the bottom all the way up so that we can have a celebration on November 5th, knowing that our Supreme Court will remain a decent, compassionate, empathetic court?
And Mark and I will do what we can do leading up to that, for sure. Because besides you being a great guy and everything, we need you on that bench.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We do. You get it. You get the whole thing. Well, thanks for coming on.
Are you kidding me?
I hope will you come back again?
I would.
Shane, you'll make sure he comes back? All right, that's great. Okay. Remember, if you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, help is available. Please call 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-HELP. For Clean and Sober Radio, I'm Gary Hendler.
I'm Mark Sigmund.
And thank you all for joining us, supporting us, and have a great and safe weekend.
Everybody wants to shine.
I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves. I hope we pass the auditioning.
Hey guys, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Really appreciate it.